not enough people are taught how to actually go to college, right? You think about when we're growing up, the whole conversation is go to college, it'll be the best 4 years of your life. And like, that's it. There's no advice of how to leverage it. It's like, get an internship. It's like, okay, well, how the hell do I get an internship?
Right.
It's, oh, you need to network. Well, okay, how the hell do you network? Right. No one, everyone loves to give you step like 7, 8, 9, but they never want to give you step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right.
Exactly.
And I think if you don't understand steps 1 through 6, it's very hard to get your dollars or your ROI on a college degree.
Welcome back to the Born Winners podcast. Today we have a very special episode for y'all. With that being said, our longtime friend and CEO of Declassified Media, Justin Nguyen, right? Correct?
Yeah, there we
Yes,
go.
I
We still
remembered
remember.
that. I remembered that.
There you go.
Yo, I was
Respect.
2 days
Hesitant.
years old when I realized that's how you pronounce your last name.
Yeah, I told Kim beforehand. I was like, it's not pronounced how you think it's pronounced.
Bro, but like there was like because we went to school and it was never like I never heard it pronounced like any other way. So did you just
Well, I
like go your
think
whole life just not correcting people?
for a minute, I think until like I got the confidence probably until like high school, because you left
Yeah.
during middle school, right, Kim?
I left freshman year was my last year in Windsor.
Yeah. So yeah, it was basically like whatever the teacher wanted to say, that's what it was.
And you know what's
and
funny,
then
bro? I can relate to that. Not to cut you off, but I could
I
definitely
know you
relate
could
to
have
that.
said that.
So me and Justin
Exactly.
actually had the same struggle growing up. So
Thanks. I mean, like to me, for instance, like your last name, it's always Karatamage, because I forgot what professor or what teacher it was that said it like that.
Now that you mentioned that,
There
I
was so
thought
many
about it.
jokes about
I
your
thought
last
about
name.
it the other day. You remember our freshman year science class, right?
Bro, that class
Yo,
hilarious.
I truly believe that might have been the most legendary class ever. Like ever. The amount of BS that we pulled there.
Bro, the funniest part was like John Pinto would literally come through to the class every morning and not be a part of the class and just come in, say what's good at like 30 minutes into the course. The class.
we would have so many students that weren't in that class just chilling, just completely chilling. Like the teacher had he had no idea. He just had no idea.
No
I
idea,
remember
bro.
one time specifically when we all sent each other the goat noise. Remember that? So Kim, there was like a goat noise, like a text ringtone or something, and we sent it to each other. Like everybody in the class had it. So like one person would play it, the teacher would try to figure out who did it. When he turned around, another person would play it, and it just went back and forth, back and forth. It was the funniest thing.
Bro, I don't think we did anything in that class besides mess with
Nah.
Santa Claus, which was the nickname for a teacher.
The teacher.
Bro, that class is hilarious.
Yeah, it was
Freshman year in Windsor was
amazing.
elite, man.
Yeah, Windsor.
Then
was
again,
fun.
I guess
Freshman
anything
year
for me
was
would be
fun.
elite when you have to move in high school. So, but
Bro, I always say I had a better time in high school than I did in college, because college for me was more grind time, so to say.
yeah.
Whereas high school, literally just messing around all 4 years.
I was the opposite only because like the last 3 years of high school, I moved to a new area with people I didn't know, whatever. So it's like it wasn't as fun because like I ain't know nobody really. And in college was like I was able to like restart, like cool, no one knows each other, like restart, new friends, new everything, and like so like that was more fun for me. But
you know what though, the one difference I think is that like Windsor was so small. Like it was fun, yeah, but it was just so small. Like the ability to meet so many new people like at college and stuff is just, I think that's one of the coolest things about it, because I think to an extent Windsor just, or in surrounding areas, it's just too enclosed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was crazy. So like when I moved down to go to school in Florida, my family moved down. So my brother transferred to a Florida high school. And dude, the schools down here are huge compared to Windsor. I think his high school, and to put it into perspective, there were 3 high schools that were all 15 minutes like driving distance from where I lived, or where he lived. And I think his high school had like, I think Windsor was around like 800, 900 kids total or something like that. His class was like 800, 900 kids.
Man.
And again, imagine that there are 3 or 4 other schools within 15 minutes in that area. So it's crazy. Like my other cousin, his high school had like 5 or 6 thousand kids in it. So it's such a different environment than like growing up, especially in Connecticut, where Windsor, like, dude, you literally know every single person.
Right, right.
Yeah, my
Probably.
school wasn't like, it was bigger than Windsor, but it wasn't like super big. But like Pittsburgh, just there's just so many schools in the area.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like so many schools are like so close to each other. So it's like, whether you're at my school, like other schools, it's like all it takes is literally like, a little 10-minute drive and you're at the next school and stuff like that.
it's
So it's like it's
different, man.
almost like it just feels like it's one bigger area as opposed to, because Windsor is like, Connecticut, it's just a small state. So it's like, everything is a lot more closely with it related to each other and whatnot.
Were you like
Like,
actually in Pittsburgh, like the city of Pittsburgh, or like
um,
suburbs?
I was in like the suburbs of it. But like,
Gotcha.
it's like a little 15-minute drive with traffic, and then you're in the city and whatnot. So,
Facts.
but yeah, good old Pittsburgh.
Yeah, let's segue. I wanna know a little bit about what Justin got going on, man. It's super interesting to see like your growth and like everything like basically changed for you. So for the people who don't know, and maybe a little bit of us too, we tell us about Declassified's media. Is it Declassified's media or college?
It's Declassified Media is like the, you can call it umbrella company, so to say, and
Okay.
then at Declassified College is one of the pages that we have, and we're starting to build out more under the brand. Uh, and appreciate all the words that you said.
Yeah, bro.
Basically, like long story short, what we're building, I'm sure you both are familiar with overtime sports. So we basically want to build like overtime sports, but specifically for like helping kids in college and then finding jobs after college. So we've got Declassified College, which is like our general like 4 year, 2 year university page. Looking to launch Declassified MBA later this year. And then after that, going like into more niches of like declassified comp sci, declassified finance, all these different sort of verticals within the college space. And our whole goal is to really do it for free because, where we grew up in, like, and our mindset, if someone was offering us a $500 course, $1,000 course when we're in college, we're like, bro, we barely got $500 in our bank account when we're
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
college. Let alone can we think about like investing that amount of money to get a better career in the future. So basically, building Declassified to help the younger versions of us, and kind of like viewing life and college as like a video game and trying to share those cheat codes via social media and making fun content so that kids actually pay attention to it rather than like the boring stuff that you get from your career resource offices and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
So how did you get into, like, what gave you the idea to like start this? This, I mean, it's definitely like it's a different idea, and it's not like one of the things like everyone has done before. So how did you like get started with it?
Yeah, I mean, like, I wouldn't necessarily say that like no one has done it before. It's like, again, it's like there's the overtime version of it,
Mhm.
there's the Barstool version, there's the BuzzFeed. So like it's a media company and like a different niche that
Yeah.
is like super old, right? Like college, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um, I would say what got me into it was, I don't know if you guys were like following my stuff probably, I don't know, sophomore, junior year of college, but
Get
like
your
that's
grind
when
up days, man.
Get Your Grind. Yeah,
Yes,
Amo got a
sir.
shirt. I remember
Yes,
Amo got a shirt.
sir. I'm
Yeah,
an
yeah.
OG, man. They don't know I'm an
Facts.
OG.
Facts. Amos one of the earliest
Yes,
supporters.
sir.
But yeah, so like that started. I was literally driving around like handing out t-shirts because I didn't want to pay for shipping. And like looking back, it's like it was actually probably cheaper to pay for the shipping than driving a car around all over the place.
Yeah.
But literally the Get Your Grind Up show was us, myself and Gary, trying to talk with up and coming young individuals and like understand their story. And that was great. But the issue is we couldn't really figure out how to make money from it.
Mhm.
So that kind of got put on the back burner. But what I had learned throughout that journey was when I was trying to find internships and stuff like that, everybody wanted to talk to me about Get Your Grind Up rather than any of my previous work experience, rather than any of my student clubs and things of that nature. So that's when I started to find like these hacks of how to find internships, how to network, and things of that nature. And I was like, oh, maybe there's a way I can create content around this. And I started creating content on LinkedIn, like out of all the platforms, the most boring one. And that started to gain momentum. I think at the heyday, like at the peak, I was getting like 100 to 200,000 views every single month typically on that. And that was great. And that allowed me to get more internships. And then my mind started trying to figure out how can I use this to um, basically subsidize the cost of this content without ever having to charge the students for anything. And then it took about 2 years after I graduated, or about a year and a half. And then that's when Declassified launched 2020, spring 2020.
Oh, that is amazing, man. Honestly. Like I think you like you got it at the perfect time too with the whole social media, especially appealing to college students and TikTok and they love all that stuff. So I think you hit it right
Yeah.
on the nail.
I mean, like looking back, it makes sense, right? But like people always ask me, um, do you think you made the right decision, or do you have any regrets, right? Like that's always a question people love asking. So like my goal when I was in college was, the reason I was producing this content was to get a full-time job offer upon graduation, right? So that, again, every college kid's dream. And so I had the goal of either working on Wall Street to do like investment banking, or working with one of the big four to do consulting. So like kind of some of the hardest jobs to obtain from a business student standpoint, especially coming from UCF, right? It's not like a target school. It's not a Harvard. It's not a Yale or anything like that. So I worked my butt. Can I swear on this?
Oh
show?
Yeah,
Okay, cool.
Man.
So I worked my ass off. Had like 5 internships, 3 at Fortune 500 companies, and like figured that stuff out. And then I had a job offer to do consulting at a big four firm.
Oh, wow.
And in my head, I was like, do I want to take this job offer, or do I say no? And so I ended up saying no to the job offer. And looking back, it might have been one of the stupidest financial decisions of my life. But I don't know if I get to this point if I take that job offer, just because I would have had to be working 60, 80 hours a week for that job. So like I said no to that job. I really was only making like $35,000 to $45,000 a year off of like LinkedIn consulting stuff over the past year and a half, until Declassified really kind of popped off. Kind of like January this year is when we really started to generate a good amount of revenue.
Nice.
That's got to be like scary at the time to like, you get you do all that work to get the job offer, and then you finally get the job offer, and to be like, you know what, I think I'm gonna pass up to pursue this other opportunity that I got when I was just doing it just for the job offer. Because like a lot of people, I mean, would just like, but oh, I got what I'm going for. Let me just quit this now, go do the job. But nah, that's respect, man. Because like a lot of people would have just said, "Let me just take the job and get the guaranteed money." Stuff like that.
I mean, mom was definitely not happy.
That's
right?
what I was gonna ask. With that.
Most parents would not be happy.
I wanted to know.
So the story was funny. The story's funny because so I was originally athletic training major, right? So like parents wanted me to be classic Asian doctor, right? So I was like, okay, I'll go down that route. And then I changed my major to finance, and like my mom didn't realize that finance majors made money. And so she had always been against me going down that path. And then started to get the internship, starting to turn her to be more favorable about it. And then got the job offer. I was like, hey, mom, got this job offer at this company. And she's like, oh, okay. But she had never heard of this company before. And so she went to work and told all her friends, because that's what parents do. And then her friends were like, oh, my God, like that's a really good company to get into. So she came home and was like mad hyped for me to get this job offer. And then I was like, yo, like, I'm probably not going to take it. And she was like, what are you talking about? Blah, 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 blah. And you also have to understand, like, Get Your Grind Up was still Get Your Grind Up at this time. I was not making any money from that. LinkedIn consulting, which ended up kind of like funding my kind of life during that time to get to that 35K ish a year. Like I had only made probably $500 at the point at that time. And I was really just kind of living off of working at Universal Studios as a cashier. And so again, looking back, probably the stupidest decision of my life, but kept on working and kept on grinding to ultimately make it work. And so that's why, like, I always like to share that because most people don't share that.
Mhm.
A lot of people don't see the past 2-3 years that of just like literally counting every single penny and making sure that I had enough to survive, pay rent or whatever it may be. And shout out to my
Yeah.
parents because they paid through college. So I didn't have any student debt. So I didn't have to worry about that portion. But like there's a lot more to a lot of other people's stories than typically is shown whenever you listen to a podcast or an interview or YouTube, whatever
Yeah.
it may be.
Right, and that's the problem. We don't get the truth out of a lot of people, and like especially with your story, nobody would admit that, making a decision like that was stupid. They would just say, "Well, here I am now," and
Yeah.
this
But
is
that's how it always is. Always, you just look back on hindsight. So, oh, look at me now. I made it. I'm here. I got all this following and money, whatever, whatever. And it's just like, well, first of all, a lot of people be lying about what they have currently, let alone what it took for them to get there.
right.
Like people sit there, they rent jewelry and do all this stuff to look like they have something. Then cool, cameras off. All right, cool. Go return it back before we break it or something like that.
Right.
I mean, it's wild. So with that, with the whole college thing. So you see, you didn't have any loans, right?
No, yeah, thankfully, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sitting here so happy I got the 10K from Biden.
It's
Oh,
funny.
that dude, right? Shout out to
funny.
Biden, man.
That's funny because Cameron just went on a mini rant last episode about pleading for at least the 10K that was promised to us.
I
and
didn't
like
think it
the
was
next
coming.
day we get
I
it.
didn't think it was coming.
Dude, that's a killer, man. It's a killer.
It's
I only
interesting
owe
though
the
because
10K, which is funny. That's all I got left.
but I know like a lot of people now are going like they're not doing college anymore. Like my little brother, like he was in college, he ended up dropping out, whatever. But now he's doing YouTube full time or whatnot, and he's like legit making money doing that. So like he has his own place on everything, like he's profiting off of it. I even honestly debate nowadays because like whether or not I would, if I could go back, would I still end up going to college? Like other than like there's like the experience alone, which you get to see people, network and stuff like that, which is a great party, all that stuff. But it's like because like my main interest now, like I was a finance major, but like I'm more interested now in like real estate than finance. I mean, granted, I use my 9 to 5 corporate job to fund my finance stuff, but it's like imagine if I didn't have any student loans, and I just like became a real estate agent right out of high school, something like that. You know what I'm saying? Then it's like boom, I could still be making money from selling these houses.
So
and then now get into the investor stuff as like as I am. So it's like So do you think college is like still as important as it used to be, or you think that's like kind of like waning off now?
So here's my perspective on this. I think in our parents' age, right? Like college was your golden ticket, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you got a 4-year degree, you're almost guaranteed a job. And if you didn't get a job, then it's kind of your fault, right? I think nowadays, a college degree is less of a golden ticket and it's more of a tool. And the issue with the tool is if you don't know how to use it, then it's absolutely worthless to you, right?
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is like you give my dad a hammer and some wood, he can build whatever you want from it, right? Because he's that blue collar type of guy. You give me a hammer and some wood, bro, nothing is getting built. I'm probably hurting myself more before, right? And so that's the thing. You give me a college degree, I will know exactly how to use it properly. I will know exactly how to use my 4 years perfectly to end up getting the job that I end up wanting to do. But the issue is not enough people are taught how to actually go to college, right? You think about when we're growing up, the whole conversation is go to college. It'll be the best 4 years of your life. And like, that's it. There's no advice of how to leverage it. It's like, get an internship. It's like, okay, well, how the hell do I get an internship?
Right.
It's, oh, you need to network. Well, okay, how the hell do you network? Right. Everyone loves to give you step like 7, 8, 9, but they never want to give you step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right.
Exactly.
And I think if you don't understand steps 1 through 6, it's very hard to get your dollars or your ROI on a college degree, right? And then also, if you're smart about your college degree, you can lower the cost, right? Because if you go community college first 2 years, you go to a state school, then it's kind of affordable or a lot more affordable.
At least you cut it in half if you go for the first 2 years and transfer out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Compared to like going to some random name private school, right? That's charging you 50, 60 grand just for tuition.
Yeah. Just to be an art major and
yeah,
not
like
get
again,
any kind of job out of that.
and that's what I mean. Like again, I think it's if you know how to use the tool, right? Like I went to UCF, right? So they're a top 3, I think, university for hospitality, since we have like Disney, Universal, and all that stuff in Orlando. In my opinion, if you go to UCF and for hospitality, which is like one of the top degrees, and you don't end up with a job, that's your fault.
Yeah.
Like you literally have all of the biggest hotspots in this area, and you're telling me that you genuinely put in the time and the effort while you're in school and you're not just partying the whole time and you still don't end up with a job. In my opinion, that's probably more of your fault than the schools,
Yeah.
right? So I think it is case by case, but there needs to be more education of how to actually navigate college, and that's why Declassified is what it is.
Because I was in college, and like the only thing I was focused on, like in terms of like professional wise, was just get good grades. I figured if I had a 3 whatever GPA, then people would see me, want to hire me. And then you get out and realize it's like, they don't ask for your GPA, so they don't even care. They do all that work for nothing, and they're just hiring the people who a lot of people who network and whatnot and get connections that way, and then obviously people who just like through their parents, whatever, have connections, whatever. I went 4 years college, applied to a bunch of places, end up getting hired for a job to pay me just $30K a year. And it was just like our commute via bus there and back. It was rough. It was like I went to college for this.
Yeah.
Like my job didn't even require a college education. It wasn't even a requirement degree. It was like I did not need to go into
that's the crazy part.
Just to start here.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. If you don't understand how to use your degree or like how to use your college experience, which again, it's not necessarily our fault. It's not necessarily our parents' fault, right? Because they didn't know either, like, or their college experience is very different than ours. But it should be on the school to educate you, because technically they should be the ones saying like, hey, Cameron, like, this is how you actually network, or like come to this event to meet XYZ person, right? But they just suck at their job. And like after I've done research on it, career resource departments are like the lowest funded space at most universities, which again makes no sense because most college kids are going to school to get a job. But yeah, my whole thing is just making sure that you understand what you're doing during your 4 years. And it's really not that hard. It's just there's not a lot of education around it. It's kind of like staying fit and working out. Like everybody thinks you need to just keep lifting weights, but more than half the battle is actually what you eat. And that's probably the harder part, right? Like I would say the networking and stuff is a little harder than getting decent grades in college, but it's not talked about enough.
So like, well, this is a little segue into like more of the social media side to it. Like what would you say, I guess, is your best advice? Because you guys have a pretty big following on TikTok, right?
Yeah, I think between like TikTok, IG, YouTube, and everything, it's around like 400,000 followers. And then we hit like 10 or 20 million views every single month or something like that. It's crazy.
So talk to us a little bit about that side of things, because as educated, you have to be educated in both what you're talking about and the social media aspect. Do you work with like a team, or do you do things solo? How do you do that?
Yeah, so we have a team.
A1, man.
I appreciate you. So yeah, we have a team, small team. We got one creator, JC, who you've probably seen on our stuff. We've got one editor, and then we've got one videographer, and now we also have an intern that's helping us with like in-person events. So we're hosting our first one in a couple weeks. So hopefully, fingers crossed, that one goes well. But I am no longer the face of the show. And the reason that I don't want to be the face of it anymore is because I want to make sure that our page and our brand is always peer to peer rather than like older person talking down to younger person, right? Gotcha. And I think especially for our generation and like younger generations, that's very important, because in the career space, it's typically always an older dude, usually white dude, being like, hey, do XYZ. And this is how you get a job. But like that person's experience is different than this person's experience is different than that person's experience. So as long as we can keep that narrative always being young person talking to young person or current student talking to current student, I think it plays in our favor. And it's very different than most of the stuff that's out there from a career standpoint. But yeah, like I guess social media wise, what specifically are you looking to?
Oh no, I was just saying, I mean, as far as just starting up, just even if any small time creator just trying to start up in general, because like you said, like 10 million likes, like it's a pretty big deal. So like us, for example, we're just starting out. We're literally from the ground up trying to build. So it's like basically what your advice to content creators just starting out.
Yeah, dude. I mean, so like the first thing is you probably have to realize that it's going to take much longer than you expect. And what I mean by that is people see like, oh, declassified's up to 400,000 in like 2 years. But what people don't see is what you know, Amo, and you know now, Cam, is like, I've been in the social media space for 6 years for me to understand that TikTok was the popping platform and to jump on it at the right time and to notice like the certain trends and stuff that we were leveraging at the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I don't have those 6 years of experience, I probably don't pop off, or Declassified doesn't pop off on TikTok the way that it did. And so like that's like the first realization is don't compare yourself when you're on step 1 and 2 to someone else's step 5, 6, and 7, right? That'll help manage some expectations, because that's like the hardest part is like, oh my God, this person blew up to 1 million followers in a year. I'm still stuck at 1,000. What the heck's wrong with me?
Mm-hmm.
Wrong with me? You just don't know. Maybe that person's been grinding for 10 years and now this is the first thing that's hit and it's worked out for them, right? So understand that. Second thing is understand that it's not about the numbers, and it's actually more about, do you understand the business? And what I mean about that is, yes, numbers are important in terms of views and things of that nature, and you need to get that to get some notice. But for instance, like I have a friend, he probably has around 2 million followers between TikTok, Instagram, and things of that nature. And Declassified, right? We have around 400,000. On a revenue standpoint, we will probably make 5 to 10 times as much as my friend, just because I understand the business side of it. And he doesn't understand the business side of it, and he's not business savvy, right? So it's, again, you can make a lot of money with smaller following if you understand how the business works, how to negotiate, and how the media industry itself is kind of a game, right? And you understand once you start to understand the game. So that would be the first two things, is like, that's your base, is don't compare yourself to others. And then the second one is really study the game of media. And then the last thing is like, from a content standpoint, throw a bunch of shit at the wall. And then once you figure out one thing that starts popping, go all in on that and like learn the analytics of it. Why did someone watch this thing all the way to the end? What was different about this compared to other stuff, of like, why did it pop? And like really spend the time to dissect why something worked versus why something didn't work. But once you have that one thing, go like all in and keep doing that same thing over and over and over again.
Word.
So you touched on it earlier about how, like, you know, your parents weren't the happiest of you not taking that job. And I feel like anybody trying to get into anything that's like unconventional, right? Which is honestly more than just like social media stuff. Cause I know I personally am getting into like real estate stuff now, and I have been the it's not as people aren't as supportive of things. They don't understand how it works. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, how do you turn that into this, whatever, whatever. So how supportive were the people around you with you going forth with the media content, stuff like that? And how did you deal with like hearing people if they were like, you know, hey, I don't think you should do this. You should go, you know, take that job and stuff like that.
Dude, you should see the every single like Sunday dinner when me and Michelle would come back home to my parents' place. Literally, I mean, even to this day, my mom will still sometimes be like, yo, Lockheed Martin's hiring. And I'm like, Mom, I'm making more than what Lockheed would pay me. And like again, I get it, because they want the stability, right? They want the safety, especially my parents, right? They came from Vietnam over here, and they want to make sure that I'm living the best life that I possibly could. And I think now, because they're seeing some of the things that I'm able to do, they're starting to be more comfortable with accepting like the entrepreneurial lives, so to say. Um, to your question of like, how did other people take it and like what was my response to other people, is I just like, whenever my mom would say something, I would like, it would hurt, right? Of course, as it always does whenever someone close to you doesn't necessarily believe in you all the way. And I knew that she wanted to believe in me, but she just wanted me to have that stable life, which I respect. But it's very important to believe in yourself, because if you don't have that, you're just going to die regardless in terms of like your motivation and your momentum. But also B is making sure that you've got a solid squad around you. Shout out to Michelle, like Amo, I think you know Michelle.
Yeah.
Cam, I'm not sure if you ever met Michelle or not, but she's been my ride or die for I think over 8 years now,
Wow.
which has been
Time is
insane.
flying.
Wow.
Crazy, dude. We're
Time is
getting
flying. I
old,
remember
man.
the beginning, man. I remember the beginning.
Oh yeah, I think you were one of the ones holding the up one of the prom signs, right? So
Oh man, I probably was.
so yeah, like dude, Michelle's been there since day one. And like I remember always saying, like, yeah, we're not making money now, but it's gonna come. It's gonna come.
Yeah.
And she'd be like, no, I believe you. And I'll be here for when it does come. And I respect that from her, right? And then also, like, especially during the pandemic, I think also having a solid squad around you to learn is so important. And I think not enough of this is talked about. And what I mean by that is people always talk about mentorship and things of that nature. And I think that's good. But I think what's even better is finding a good squad around you that's at like equal level, maybe some below, maybe some above, that can help motivate you and help you learn things as you are all going through it. So I had a squad around me. Shout out to John, shout out to Sam, shout out to Michael, where we would literally jump on calls like every week, every 2 weeks, and be like, yo, this worked for me on TikTok. How about you try it? Or this didn't work for me on TikTok. How about you try it? This worked for me from a cold email standpoint with this brand. You check this out. How much money are you making this week? How much money are you making this month? And we would always compare with each other and be like, oh, this person is up this month. This person is down. So even when you're down, you're like, yo, John's killing it, right? Like I need to get to John's level because he was just like about to give up last week, but he kept on going for one more week. And now all the brand deals started to come in. And I think that is so important because the mentor, they can only offer so much perspective, right? Because they're looking back on when they weren't as successful and trying to give you advice on the different time of when they were coming up, right? But the person that's in the same grind as you that might be a couple steps ahead or a couple steps below, the person that's a couple steps below gives you motivation because you're like, I'm beating Amo, right?
Yeah.
But like, let's say Cam's beating me, and I'm like, dude, I need to get to Cam's level. Like, I need to keep going, right? So I think that's so important to keep those people close to you when you're able to find them.
Right. And that's a good thing because sometimes even when you are in those groups, not in your case, obviously, there's, jealousy comes into play and envy and
Totally.
all that type of stuff. You see one person doing better than you and they start hating on you, man. So
You really
It's
gotta
hard to find
manage
that.
that
It's
like
hard to find that, man.
competitiveness. Like it's I think it's great to be competitive, like with your people, like oh, like my brother did this. I want to, catch up with him. I always tell my older brother all the time, like he'll get a promotion from work. And I'll tell him, hey, you can't get no more promotion, so I get a promotion. Right. And it's always out of love on jokes and whatnot. And every time, honestly, I'll get one, he literally will get one like a week later and it'll piss me off. But like, but it's great when you can be competitive and it doesn't like lead to any actual like animosity to anyone, stuff like
Right.
that. A lot of
Totally.
people though, it's just like, like there's a difference between competitiveness and like hatred and
Yeah.
being jealous of somebody. Like that jealousy is when it starts being like, all right, well, I want you to fail now. I think you should want your people to succeed because then it drives you to succeed more and work hard and stuff like that.
100%. No, and again, it's very hard to find that squad, right?
Yeah.
Like, because there's a lot of people that are really just maybe even trying to use you just to get to the next level or whatever that may be. And I've had those conversations with those people, and like, there's been a lot of missed promises or like false promises and things of that nature of like, oh, I'll put you on later. And I'm like, oh, you got featured by TikTok, but I didn't get featured by TikTok. And like, I put you onto TikTok. So it's like, you'll find those people and there'll definitely be a lot of failures in terms of like friendships that look like they're friendships at the beginning until either they start popping off or you start popping off and you really start to see the true colors. um but it is what it is, right? That's the nature of the space. That's why I have a love-hate relationship with social media. I love it because I understand it and I understand how to make money from it. I hate it because there's a lot of fake people in the space, especially as you start to get higher up. Like the it's been crazy the like quote unquote caliber of successful creator and people that I've been able to meet over the past 2 or 3 years. Like we all grew up in the same town. I would have never thought that I would meet a billionaire before. I would have never thought that I would have a conversation with Mark Cuban. I would never have thought that I would have someone who has tens of millions of followers like on my like I have their number and I sent them a text this morning and they said they responded immediately.
Yeah.
Like I would have never thought that, but like that comes with just believing yourself and like making sure that every single thing that you do, you're figuring out what didn't work and what did work, and then surrounding yourself with the right people to show you what's freaking possible. Because, dude, Windsor, I would have never thought any of this shit would be possible.
Nah, you don't. Because, like I said, it's such a small, like, we're just so enclosed. Like, you don't know what's out there. Like, how did you feel about moving? Even like, because I know you spent your whole life in Windsor. Like, did moving to Florida have, or Florida, Texas? You do both,
Florida.
Right? Oh,
Well,
Florida.
yeah.
Okay.
So, dude, if I showed you my travel schedule for the end of September to the end of October, it would make no sense. Literally, I'm like not gonna be home for a month, and like it's great. I'm grateful for it, but it kind of sucks at the same time, right? But I think moving to Florida was one of the best decisions of my life, even though I didn't necessarily do it for myself. So the reason that I ended up choosing a college in Florida was because my parents wanted me to move my freshman year of high school when we were at Windsor High. And I was like, no, I want to play soccer with all my boys. So like, again, you guys know all the kids that I grew up and played soccer with, like we were a tight squad. So I was like, no, there's no way I'm leaving freshman year of high school. But then I was like, okay, I'll go
wish I could have
down.
said that. My parents did not care. They said,
the
"No, we're leaving."
We got the boot.
No, shout out. I mean, shout out to my parents, man. Like I convinced them, thankfully. But yeah, my freshman year, I went to University of Tampa. So because I was going to pay out of state tuition at UCF, after for my first year, I thought to myself, why don't I just go to a private school because it was going to be around the same price. So I went to UT my first year, and I think that was the biggest awakening of my life. And again, the reason for that is growing up in Windsor, we're not really surrounded by rich people, right? Like rich people typically go to Loomis, they go to Northwest Catholic, they leave Windsor. They don't stay in Windsor usually, right? And so we don't end up becoming friends with them. We don't meet their parents. We don't think of them other than like, oh, they're rich. They have to be super smart. They have to be like a certain echelon of person. At least that was my mindset going into it, right? I went to University of Tampa. Bro, I was surrounded by some of the craziest, richest kids in the world. Like the dude down the hall from me, we called him the Prince of the Bahamas because his grandfather is like the George Washington of the Bahamas. Like he founded the Bahamas. The airport is named after his grandfather.
Damn. Oh,
right.
Damn.
Like I was like, I'd never been around that type of person before. And then like another kid, he was like related to Steve Nguyen, who owns like half of the Las Vegas Strip or something like that. And so like he was like, yeah, if my parents die, I get like 15 million or $10 million. I'm like, how do you say that just casually? Right? Like I saw on his Snapchat story one day, and like this is when like I knew he had money. He like put out a story of his backyard, like his summer house. It was a summer house in like the Carolinas or something. So I'm looking at it and you can see the ocean from like the back steps, but then you see like the double stairs. And I'm like, yo, if you got double stairs, you're just completely different tax bracket, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And so like I met these kids, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but there was nothing special about them. They were just regular kids, just like me, just like you, the both of you. And for me, I think that was a big kind of like mindset shift of, oh shit, like things are possible. Like I don't have to go and work and be stuck in Windsor, Connecticut for the rest of my life. And again, no knock to Windsor, love growing up there, but I think there's something to be said of moving out into, especially a little bit of a larger city. And Orlando's not like a huge city or anything, but it allows you to be around people that show you what's possible in terms of from an income standpoint. And I never saw that growing up in Windsor. So I'm grateful for moving down here.
That's dope.
That's the one good thing. I've moved like what from Pittsburgh to South Carolina to Connecticut, back to Pittsburgh, Kentucky for college, then back to Pittsburgh. Like, not that it like there's not anything wrong with the people who like are lifers where they're at and stuff like that, but it's always good to get out and like live in a new city for just a couple years if anything else. Go for a couple years, live somewhere else, and like just see the outside world. There's a lot of stuff out there, a lot of different people out there, stuff you would just like would not expect. Like Pittsburgh to Windsor was huge culture shock to me. Well, for starters, like Windsor being as diverse as it was, I thought like everything was as diverse as Windsor was.
Oh, dude, same. Dude.
Man, was I wrong? I got
bro.
I
went to U Tampa. Dude, nobody was black. There was no black kids on campus. There's like a couple Puerto Ricans, more Middle Eastern, and then mainly the joke is all the white kids that didn't get into Stanford, Princeton and stuff, and they had rich parents, so they came here because they wanted to party in Tampa. I was blown away, and then I'd transfer to UCF, and I would literally talk to kids from like the boondocks of like Central Florida, and they'd be like, "Yeah, I never saw a black kid until I went to UCF," and that to me is like just insane.
Yeah,
right? Because like growing up in Windsor, we had everything, a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
But that's wild to think of how like kind of rare Windsor is as an area, especially because like it's not like in Atlanta or Houston or cities like that are known for like their black population who's doing well and stuff like that. But like just to have like that mix of people, because I don't know what the statistics were for like the diversity in Windsor, but like it was way better than what they was. I remember when we moved up here, the selling point for Pittsburgh was it was a melting pot, right? And then I got here and I was just like, melting what? White chocolate? There's nothing else here. Like it was just like a whole bunch of white people, and like and it's like it was funny because it's like they were like almost different kind of white people than the ones from Windsor, because the ones from Windsor grew up around were around a bunch of other black people because Windsor was diverse. The ones here weren't.
Yeah.
I remember my like first day, something like that. One of the kids showing me around told people I was a foreign exchange student from Connecticut. Here's the thing.
They had a camera from a different country.
The thing is like, I was just like, okay, that's not gonna work. Like Connecticut, and people like they ate it up. First off, they didn't know where Connecticut was, which I thought was like dumb. And they're like, "Oh, what language do they speak in Connecticut?" I was like, "Yo, I will punch you in your face." What? Like, I was just so like, what?
Yo, that's wild. No, honestly, have you ever? Because I know you moved away from Connecticut. Do you ever get stereotyped as the rich, like Connecticut person?
Nah, because I don't think when they think of the rich Connecticut person, they think of me.
That's true. That's true.
Right.
No, because like literally...
when I tell them I'm from Connecticut, though, then they'd be like, "Oh, she's with all the people with the money," because they do think of it once you tell them that. And it's just like we was in the suburbs. We was in like we were decent. I wouldn't say we was like rich or nothing like that, but.
We were right next to Hartford, and Hartford's like top 10 poorest capitals in the US, right?
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't realize Hartford was really as bad until I moved away. Like, because for me, it was like Hartford was Hartford. Like the things that happen, you hear, it's like, oh, that's just Hartford.
Yeah.
And then you move away, and like I hear stories, or you look up like even the rankings of like deadliest cities, and you see Hartford's like, was it that bad when I was growing up there? Like I remember, being in Weaver for like some AAU tournaments and stuff like that. And I remember there was a fight broke out like right next to me, and like I just didn't move. I was letting them do their thing. My parents got mad at me for not getting out the way because they thought some shooting was gonna happen. I didn't realize like what could actually happen until I got out of there and realized, oh, maybe it wasn't always the best.
Dude, it's so fascinating the way that we grew up, like, and where we grew up. And it's very fascinating talking to other people. Like, so for instance, like being Vietnamese, right, or Asian in general, there's like 3 other Asian people in our class, and they were all Vietnamese, and they all had the same last name, right? So like in my perspective, that was like Vietnamese culture. And then I talked to a friend of mine from California, and he was like, yeah, I grew up like the school that I went to was like 40% Korean, 30% Vietnamese, like 20% white. I'm like, wait, you're breaking it down by like ethnicity,
yeah,
right? The type of Asian. I'm like, that does not make any sense to me, right? So it's so fascinating to me the different ways that people grow up and like how that can kind of change perspective depending on where you grow up on. But dude, I would never, I would not want to grow up anywhere else besides Windsor. Like the memories of dunking on people in like the hallways and stuff, like dude, that's
Man,
A1, man. Like you can't
man.
replace that.
I still have videos, I think, in the archives. I gotta pull those out, man. Those were
Dude, I
legendary.
want the HD version of Julian Duncan. I forgot who, but when he got like ISS or something from it.
Oh, for real? Oh, yeah. Oh my god. Yo, I'm telling you, were you there? What year was that? Can't
No,
remember. Was
I
you
don't
there?
think
I don't
so. I
think
think
so.
that was
Oh my
later on.
god, man.
I
That
miss
was
all the goods. I moved at the worst possible time,
Because
man.
no, I mean that was when we didn't care anymore, right?
oh
Like for
yeah.
like junior,
Yeah.
Because they
senior
were
year.
trying to like lock us down, take our phones, stuff like that. But at that point, we were like, whatever, dude.
Yeah, yelling Kobe in Miss Hammerstrom's class just
Oh
to
man.
dude RP Kobe, man. That's
No, I
just
mean,
crazy.
Windsor's dope though. I do love it. I shit. If I could stay here and grow a family here, I wouldn't even mind.
So I
Like,
so almost so you as someone who's a Windsor lifer and like is the only one of us still there now, right? Do you
yeah.
have any interest or any thoughts of ever like leaving Windsor, or are you just like you're cool where you're at?
Honestly, like it would cross my mind from time to time because I do like Florida too. Like I used to
Mhm.
travel there to see my late grandfather all the time. So like that's somewhere I'm, pretty comfortable at when I am there. But to be real, it's like being here for so long, like not just Connecticut in general, because I haven't lived anywhere else. Just being in Connecticut in general, it's just like once you're here for so long, it's almost like you're kind of trapped. And that's not a good mindset to have, based off what you guys were saying for sure. But it's like for me to see myself anywhere else realistically. Like at the
Yeah.
same time, it would be a big leap of faith for me to just
Yeah,
move
because
to
you
Ohio
never
or
like
something.
moved in nothing like that. So you
No,
gotta
not
like,
state by state. Yeah, so like for
yeah.
me, it would be kind of scary to be honest at this point. So I
You
mean,
know
who
what I
knows
always
though?
found funny though about like Windsor? Like after I moved out, because on Twitter, like I always see so many people like try to talk shit about Windsor. Like, oh, can't wait to get out of here, yada. And my thing was like, bro, I would kill to move back to
That's what
Windsor.
I'm saying. Like, it's
Like,
not a
and
bad
people say,
spot.
oh, I hate it. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I understand like eventually wanting to leave and like see the world and stuff like that. But like, you don't gotta like trash it on your way out. Talking about,
Yeah,
oh,
nah.
it's so boring here, yada
That's
yada. It's like,
one place I would never trash. Nah.
nah.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
I don't think I could ever live in Windsor again. If it wasn't cold, then I think
Oh,
I might be able to.
yeah.
Same. I've th-
I
I've
feel you,
thought about
man.
it like since I graduated. I could just move back to Windsor and stuff like that. But my thing is like, I don't know if like I could deal with the cold. Like the cold in Pittsburgh's bad enough
I
as
was
it
about to
is.
say Pittsburgh can't be that much better.
I mean, it's a little bit better. It doesn't get like so like the summers are probably like close to the same, but like the winters I feel like is a little bit
Better.
different. Like you don't
Yeah.
get as cold.
Mm.
But then I also feel like go back to winters. Like how many people are still even like
There.
there
Right?
of my friends anyway? Because I mean like you're still there, yeah, but like other than you. What like I think there's a couple people still there. Like Matt's still there. Like
Yeah.
Steve's in
Yeah.
Mass now,
What up?
but KB there's still people there. But like everyone has moved out, and that's the crazy thing is like people like just doing. It's weird growing up and you see people doing their own thing. Like just to
Yeah,
see you do the stuff you're doing is like it's just wild because it's like yo we're really like
bro, we
growing.
used to be gaming on Call
Yo,
of
I
Duty.
was just about to say that. I was about to say, like, man, I remember me, Justin, Alex, man, shout out
Alex,
Alex,
bro,
man, wherever
Alex,
my guy is
hilarious,
at,
man.
man. But we would go all night, prestige once a night, every night. And I was like, damn, like, what happened? Like, just a snap of the finger, and here we are today.
Yeah,
It's just so crazy.
Bro, it's insane. Like you said, Cam, like seeing what other people are doing. The one thing that I would say about Windsor, like, and this is, I guess, my only small knock to Windsor is, I feel it's very hard to, uh, like, it's very hard to see what's possible growing and staying in Windsor.
yeah,
And what I mean by that is, if I had stayed in Windsor, I probably wouldn't realize how crazy the tech space is in terms of like work life balance and stuff like that. Like I have a bunch of friends that work at like the Facebooks, the Googles, etc. of the world, and dude, their offices make absolutely no sense. like I went to LinkedIn's office maybe a couple weeks ago when I was in New York, and it's literally 10 floors in the Empire State Building. I didn't even know Empire State Building was like office space, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't
They get
even know
free
what's inside
food,
of that.
bro. They get free lunch, free dinner, like 5-star meals, like cooked by actual chefs. They get like a week off at the beginning of summer just because it's like mental health. I don't know, some
Yeah.
tech BS,
Man.
but it's like I didn't like I would have never known that if I had stayed in Windsor. And that's what I mean. But I think it's very important for people to um if you're not able to move around, because I know that's not possible for a lot of people, but meeting people in other places is so important, and meeting people in other industries, because you just might not know what's possible. And you think this thing is really good for you until you find out about this next thing, and you would have never known that next thing until you talk to someone from that space. And
Right.
I think it's very hard to do that in Windsor. But like you can still do it online. Like most of my
Yeah.
friends don't even live in Orlando. Most of them are living in like New York or LA or Austin or whatever it is. And like I get all of their different perspectives, just because I messaged them on like LinkedIn or DM them on Instagram or whatever it is, and we became friends.
Word. That's what's up, man. I mean, that's just the truth, though. You're spitting the truth right now, man. You gotta see things
I
from a
feel like that's
different
the thing.
point of view.
Yeah. I feel like that's also the beauty of like kind of the beauty in the pandemic in a sense with everyone being home. Like it almost forced everyone to be more, outgoing on the social medias and stuff like that. So like I feel like there's a lot more networking now online than there was. A lot of people before, like, wouldn't network because they couldn't find something in their hometown. Like there wasn't a group in their hometown for they want to get into. But now it's like, you hop on a Zoom call with people from all over the country about, whatever it is you're trying to get into. And it's like not that the pandemic is definitely not a good thing, but I do think there's been like just slight subtle things that have been decent. Like
Oh
working
yeah,
from
there's
home
yeah.
has been a blessing in disguise. That if they ever try to take away, I would leave them. I don't mind my company, but I would leave them in a heartbeat the second they try to say come back to the office. Like we're back in once a week, which isn't horrible. But they ever try to say, yeah, come back in 5 days a week. Yeah, all right.
Yo, a
Dude,
lot of companies have changed that.
I
Yeah.
think it's so hot take um is I think over the past 2-3 years or so, employees had all the leverage, right?
Mhm.
Like, especially during the beginning of the pandemic. If employees said something because the job market was so hot, it was like, yo, I'm going to work from home whether you like it or not, or I'm going to go to XYZ company because they're offering me an extra 5 grand, 10 grand, or whatever it is, and work from home. Right.
Mhm.
And so employees could say and demand whatever they wanted. But now, because like potential, like, I mean, I personally think we're in a recession, and like as that recession continues to unravel, you're starting to see all the tech jobs started to dry up, right? A lot of companies are either freezing hiring or stopping hiring overall. Those jobs that people were applying to use as leverage to their current company are going away, which means I think now the pendulum is going to swing to
Yeah.
employers. And so again, not to knock
Knock your dreams.
your dreams, Cameron.
Crush it, man.
But like I would just like I'm trying to warn as many people of
Yeah.
you might not see what you've seen over the past 3 years, because I knew people in tech where during the pandemic they literally jumped a company every 6 months or so and grew their salary. Like I know a kid that grew his salary from $45,000 to right now he's making like 150 grand plus
Mm.
by just jumping companies, because he's like, oh, but this company's offering me more, and then they would just up his salary because they had to.
Yeah,
And I don't think that environment is going to last much longer.
Actually, you're right. Cause I was actually reading an article about it yesterday about how with the recession, like they said, one of the things is going to go is they think like work from home could be one of the things that could leave with the recession now, which I don't fully make sense. I mean, I get it. Like if you already have the space, but like you would think, why would you continue to pay money and rent space, office space when people do it from home?
It's
But
just
it's
a
just more,
power thing.
yeah. It's the fact that there's momentum switching, and now it's like they can be like, oh well, this is how it is. Like you're gonna leave us in the middle of a recession, like
right. Yeah.
not coming to office stuff like that. And like, but I feel like that's gonna, I feel, yeah, it's gonna keep swinging. It's gonna go back into the employer's favor right now, and then eventually something else will happen. The market will be booming again soon, not soon, but whenever it does, and then back into the employee side of it and stuff like that. But it's also weird. I feel like I just feel old. The fact that like I'm paying attention to that stuff now.
There's a
Yo,
lot of things that
facts.
make me feel
Like,
old.
Bro, we used to try and be like, yo, how do we drop shot quicker in Call of Duty so that we could stay alive and search and
Right.
destroy? And now we're
right,
talking about like I'm turning 26, or we're all probably turning 26 this year, or
man,
you are 26,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I
yeah,
gotta figure out health insurance now, right? Because
Yeah. Yep.
I'm just like, damn, this junk is mad expensive, more expensive than I thought it was gonna be.
Which is
yeah.
another scam that me and Cam want to get into on one of our
Health,
episodes,
health insurance
man.
it's
Because
not
that,
the insurance that's a scam. It's the whole medical field that's a scam. The fact that like
Facts.
again, if I wanted to get someone to tailor my suit and they tailored it and they tailored it wrong, I could go back to them, say, yo, this is wrong, fix it. And they would fix it. Right? I go in for something wrong with my leg. They look at it, they do some things, send me home, doesn't get fixed. Now I gotta come back again and pay all over again for the issue that you didn't fix the first time. It's the
right.
only thing in like the history of like working where they cannot do what they were supposed to do, and you still gotta go in and pay again for them just to try again. It makes no sense to me at
That's
all.
college. Well, that and college, right? Because it's
Yeah.
like, oh, your first degree didn't work. Oh, here's a master's degree. Here you go.
Mm,
Right? I've
yeah.
literally sat in an alumni meeting before for UCF, and I walked in and I was like, okay, they're doing a presentation for an MBA or whatever. And so I asked a question at the end. I was like, oh, who's this degree for? And she literally goes, "Oh, this degree isn't for business kids. This degree is for all the students who like the art student and stuff like that whose degree didn't get them a job." And I'm
Mm,
like, "So if you
That's
guys
wild.
failed them the first time,
yeah.
you're just
Why would I
offering them
trust you again? Yeah, like that's
like yeah,
Uh,
I mean medical and then education are probably the two most broken systems, at least
mm,
that I pay attention to.
yeah.
Um for the US. But yeah, that's a
yeah.
conversation for another day.
Yeah. 'Cause that will never end.
Yeah. And also, my medical thing was not about the doctors and the people servicing. They're doing their jobs fine. It's like the people in the offices saying, you got to
Yeah.
pay again. That's the people who are like, wow. But
Well, when you're charging like 20-30 bucks for one Advil, there's a little something messed up in
Yeah.
that right
yeah,
there.
yeah.
So what? Let me ask you this: what's next for Justin and Justin's brand Declassified? What you got on
Bro,
the
I'm just
schedule? What's coming
just
up?
having fun, man. Literally, like that's been my motto over the past probably 6 to 12 months is literally just having fun. Like some of the stuff that I have done over the past 6 months has actually been insane.
Mm,
And like again, growing up in Windsor, I would have never thought that this would even be a thing. Like again, I was invited to a dinner event with Mark Cuban last summer, right? Like, bro, what?
yeah.
That's
Right? Like
wild to think
that
about, to be honest.
To even
Like,
be in
that's
the same
insane.
room.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like that's crazy, right? There was South by Southwest where we snuck in, and like we snuck into a house, and the way that South by works is like companies will buy out a house and they will just serve free drinks and food all day.
Mhm.
And dude, we found the gold mine of a house. They just serve steak all day long. So we would go there and just eat steak every single day for free. For free,
What?
right? And
that's
like so I don't
amazing.
drink, but like if you drink, like there's free drinks all day long.
Mm,
And then like at VidCon there was a Spotify event that they rented out Disney for creators, and we were not invited, but I found a way to hack the website and got like 12 people in.
what?
um and like dude, like all of these things to me is just me trying to have fun, because it's like, okay, if
Yeah,
they say no, bro,
Okay, yeah, they say
okay,
no.
I'll just keep going. But to me, it's like the rush, the adrenaline that you get of just doing all these fun things. And that's just what I want to continue to keep doing, is like basically just saying fuck it and like having fun and just doing fun things and finding ways to make money from it. And thankfully I play in a space where fun and money kind of correlate with each other in the social
Mhm.
media space. But yeah, it's been an absolute ride the past 6 to 12 months, and I just want to keep that going.
that's wild, man.
Cameron, I
That's
see you
really crazy,
smirking,
bro.
man. What you got?
I got a lot of stories, man.
Yeah,
It's a very different Justin that you probably remember from high school in the way
I
of
always
like
knew you to be a little savvy and try and figure things out. So I know how you get down.
the finesse. The finesse
Yeah,
is always there,
finesse.
right? Like
Yeah, of course.
what Windsor taught me.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
man,
nothing else.
I think we're good. Anything else? Last parting questions, comments.
And I mean, Justin did a great job, man. You covered pretty much everything we were looking for. I mean, we love to see you grow and hopefully everything takes off the way you want to, for real, because it's an open space. You can do whatever you want, like you said, and just have fun. And we'll keep watching from a distance. And good luck to you with all that.
Appreciate you. No, I appreciate both of y'all. Like literally, I again, I've started to learn in the space. I've kind of figured it out a little bit. Again, still got a lot to learn, but my whole thing is I'm just trying to get all my boys to win because my whole thing is I don't want to be the one vacationing on an island alone. I
Yeah.
want to be vacationing with all my boys, right?
Yeah,
Like whether that's you guys, whether that's Mike, whether that's Ty, like all of them. Like I'm always trying to find a way to keep leveling people up because again, it's very hard to do that if you don't know what you don't know. Right.
yeah,
So whether that's the social space and like helping you guys out, like growing your show and you guys start making a crap ton of money, like, bro, I would love that because then we can figure out a way to meet up with each other
Right.
and do cool shit with each other. Right. Whether if it's from a job standpoint and helping you like 2x your salary, 3x your salary, and you're making money that you would have never thought that you would make. And then now we can go on vacation wherever we want. Like that to
yeah,
me is the best part of all this is I get to play in the space of understanding social media, but also understanding like the job market. And dude, there is so much money out there doing some of the fun stuff and some of the stupidest stuff in the world. Like I met a guy that works for Nike, right? Like I'm sure we would all love to work for Nike. Um, but his job is literally to combine tech, like find whatever's trending in tech, and then with like combine it with like dope athletes. So he was the guy. You guys remember like Trivia Crack? I think it was at the time.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah.
remember that.
Oh no, not Trivia. HQ Trivia or no? What was the thing where it was like it would give you a notification of this thing is happening every single like it would happen once or twice a day, and it would be a trivia thing, and like if you answered all the questions correct, then you got like a piece of like the $10,000 that they were giving away or hundred
Oh
thousand dollars.
man, I know what you're
I,
talking
I
about.
know. I can't think of the
That
name.
was
I forgot what it was,
yeah, it
but
slipped my mind.
so like he connected that app with Nike so that they launched like limited edition sneakers for that app like with
Mm,
Nike, right? And like his other thing was like working with Odell Beckham Jr. and like
right.
and some sort of tech or something. Like to me, that's a dope job that I would do rather than just looking at like Microsoft Excel all day or
All
like
day, yeah.
PowerPoint or whatever, right?
Yeah,
So for me, it's all about finding all of this cool shit that other people are either doing or are making money from and like showing it to all my friends and stuff and being like, yo, have you ever thought about this? Because you never know. That might be either you can make a lot more money or you can be a lot more happier doing something like that. So just trying to have all the boys win from Windsor, trying to put us all on.
Yes,
that's
sir. I like
dope. And
that.
that's the thing that like the your parents never tell you. They always say go get the job. But they don't like. It's always about like they want to make a choice between money and stability and like being able to enjoy your life. And I feel like, especially, it's not their fault because the way the generation was, hard nosed working and do that stuff. But it's like nowadays you can really do both. Like there's definitely a way to have that, make good money, but you're not like, hating your job and your life every other day and stuff like that. You know.
Facts. And
So
there's so
it's
many
dope.
options out there that because of the internet, we can learn about the options,
Yeah.
right? Like imagine growing up in Windsor 40 years ago. Like if your neighbor didn't tell you something, like you would have
Right.
never known it, right?
Yeah.
But nowadays, like we can jump on a Zoom call, right? And I can tell you about all the things that I've learned in Florida, and Cam can talk about all the things that he's learned in Pittsburgh, and then Amo, you can update us on what's happening in Connecticut, right?
Yeah.
Like that is so different than what our parents had because all you knew was what the people around you knew and what was being shown to you on TV. Nowadays, you can figure out whatever you want on YouTube, and I think that is fascinating, and I don't think enough people are using it or know how to use it. And my whole thing is just trying to help people understand that. So like I said, we could all be in the Hamptons. I don't want to be the only person in the Hamptons, right? I want all my boys
I'm
to
in
be
there,
there with
man.
me.
Best believe I'm in there.
Yes,
I'm gonna find a
sir.
way. I'm gonna
Right.
find a hack if I can't get there the right way.
Dude, like to me, LeBron is an amazing like inspiration, right? Because he's brought like
All the
Mav
people
with
with him.
him, right? He
Yeah.
brought Rich Paul, like
Yep.
all of them were like kind of all boys growing up together. And that to me is fascinating, right? Because it's so hard to find, like once you start getting higher and higher up, it's very hard to find other people that are with you because they want to be friends or
Right.
versus with you because they want something from you. But
Mhm.
if you can grow the people from the beginning, of course, it has to be the right person and they have to have the talent, right? But if
Mhm.
they can grow with you, I think that's like the definition of just having fun with life and having some money to have some fun with too.
Of course.
Yeah, 'cause the fact that like Rich Paul is now one of the biggest agents in the NBA is like he was just LeBron. He was LeBron's friend.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like that's what it was. And now he's like, representing all these other people and whatnot. And it's like not only LeBron didn't just cut him a check, like gave him
Yeah.
opportunity and then gave him the space. Like it wasn't just you're only my manager. Like you have room to build and grow your own thing. And now he's like, now Clutch is controlling all these
Well, you
NBA
know what I was
teams.
about to say, because he has that
Crazy.
type of leverage now, LeBron can play with
Yeah.
certain pieces on his teams and
Yeah.
stuff.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, I think that's like ideal, right? It's like, okay, what if I can grow the bar, like the overtime of higher ed, right? And then you guys become the next Skip and Shannon, right? And then
Mhm.
Mike becomes this ultimate like UX UI designer or whatever, right? And now we're all killing it, and we can all vacation together rather than me having to like fake wanting to be on vacation with this other
Right.
rich dude because that's the only other person that can
I can make a
vacation,
trip.
right? Or
Yeah.
like same thing with you guys, right?
Mhm.
Like you don't want to be the only person vacationing in Turks and Caicos. You want to have the squad with you.
Right.
And that's my whole thing is like, how can whatever, like I said, whatever I can do to help you guys, just dude, let me know, reach out. Like,
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
We will for sure. Definitely.
facts.
All right, Justin, it's been great having you on the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. It's definitely dope to see someone like, from Windsor doing their thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's dope. Having interviews is cool, but being able to talk to someone like I know grew up with and stuff
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
Didn't know how to pronounce your last name until today, but that's a different.
You're good, man. You're good.
But it's dope. Every just following you from the years and just seeing like you grow has been like just a dope thing to see from afar and whatnot. Because just like who would have thought, you know what I'm saying? But like super dope to see you here. Thank you for joining us on this episode. Everyone make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Justin, do you have anything you want to plug? The name of the at name of your pages you want to put on here.
Yeah, if you want to learn more about Declassified, just look up at Declassified College. That's about it, man. I respect what you guys are both trying to build. Let me know whatever I can do to help.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it. And last thing, when you come back around here, Justin, you gotta link me, bro. Or if I go down there or wherever, we got to link, man.
Dude, let me know. Yeah, I gotta go. I'll be up November and December because going up to see Michelle. Michelle's fam is still up there, so
okay, cool.
I'm always up there once in a
so
while.
we'll get a day in.
Facts.
All right,
Cam,
brother.
you got to come through whenever I'm up there. Figure it out.
Yeah, you would pick the winter times to be up there.
Dude, it's the holiday.
Yeah, I feel you.
All right, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you again, and we will be
Appreciate
in
you.
contact.
All right, boys. Have a good one.
All right. Peace.
Peace.